Bhagavatam 10th Canto, Chapter 1, The Advent of Lord Krishna, Introduction, Text 58. Kim dusaham na sadhunam vidusham kim apekshitam kim makaryam kadayanam Dustyajam kim dritatmanam kim dusaham nusadunam vidusham kim apekshitam kim makaryam kadayanam Dustyajam kim dritatmanam kim dusaham nusadunam vidusham kim apekshitam kim makaryam kadaryanam dusyajam kim dritatmanam
kim dusaham nusadunam vidusham kim apekshitam kim makaryam kadaryanam dustajyam kim dhritatmanam vidusham kim apekshitam
akaryam kadayanam
kim makaryam kadaryanam
dustajyam kim dhritatmanam
Kiro duksham no sadhunam
kim dusaham nusadunam
vidusham kim apekshitam
vidusham kim apekshitam
makaryam kadayanam
kim makaryam kadaryanam
dustyajam kim dharatmanam
dustajyam kim dhritatmanam
Vaishnavis.
Hindusaham na sadhunam vidusham kim apekshitam kim akaryam kadaryanam dustyajam kim dharatmanam
kim dushyam sadhunam vidusham kim apekshitam kim akaryam kadyanam dustyajam kim dhritatmanam kim dusaham sadhunam vidusham kim apekshitam kim karyam kadaryanam
kim makaryam kadaryanam
dustyajam kim dhritatmanam
Kim, what is? Dusaham, painful. Nu, indeed. Sadhunam, for saintly persons. Vidusham, of learned persons. Kim apekshitam, what is dependence? Kim makayam, what is forbidden work? Kandaryanam, of persons in the lowest grade. Dusyajam, very difficult to give up. Kim, what is? Dhitatma, atmanam, of persons who are self-realized. Translation. What is painful for saintly persons who strictly adhere to the truth? How could there not be independence for pure devotees who know the Supreme Lord as the substance? What deeds are forbidden for persons of the lowest character? And what cannot be given up for the sake of Lord Krishna by those who have fully surrendered at his lotus feet? Purport. Since the eighth son of Devaki was to kill Kamsa, one might ask, what the need was for Vasudeva to deliver the firstborn child. The answer is that Vasudeva had promised Kamsa that he would deliver all the children born of Devaki. Kamsa, being an Asura, did not believe that the 8th child would kill him. He took it for granted that he might be killed by any of the children of Devaki. Vasudeva, therefore, to save Devaki, promised to give Kamsa every child, whether male or female. From another point of view, Vasudeva and Devaki were very pleased when they understood that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, would come as their 8th son. Vasudeva, a pure devotee of the Lord, was eager to see Krishna appear as his child from the 8th pregnancy of Devaki. Therefore, he wanted to deliver all the children quickly so that the 8th turn would come and Krishna would appear. He begot one child every year so that Krishna's turn to appear would come as soon as possible. Translation again. What is painful for saintly persons who strictly adhere to the truth? How could there not be independence for pure devotees who know the Supreme Lord as the substance? What deeds are forbidden for persons of the lowest character? And what cannot be given up for the sake of Lord Krishna by those who have fully surrendered at his lotus feet? Om Gana Chimarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Militang Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In this chapter, you're getting deep insight into the saintly character of Vasudeva and the utter degradation of Kamsa. They're a study in contrast. And this verse is pointing out that contrast. For a saintly person who adheres to truth, no matter how austere and severe a situation may be, the saintly person strictly adheres to the proper standard. And for someone of demoniac, depraved nature, what is forbidden for them? As we'll see in the life of Kamsa, everything depends on whether they feel threatened, whether their sense gratification is threatened. And then they base a decision on that. The defining moment in Kamsa's life was when he's driving his sister after her marriage, driving her and her newly married husband, Vasudeva, driving them to their home. As you know, part of the tradition is that the bride may feel a little nervous leaving her father's house for the first time. These are the old times. So, the brother is accompanying her to give her support, emotional support, stability. Now, you may ask, is Kamsa exactly the sister of Devaki? Cousin sisters. Devaki's father is the brother of Kamsa's father. So, in the Vedic system, though, cousins are considered very close. First cousins are very close, like brothers and sisters. That's why you hear that Devaki is the sister of Kamsa. So he's just visualized the scene. He's driving the chariot himself. How kind. And then this voice from the sky announces, Kamsa, you are such a fool. You're transporting your death. The 8th child of your sister will finish you, will kill you. You know what happened. Without hesitation, Kamsa prepares to kill his sister. One minute he's driving the chariot with affection, taking her to the home of her husband, newly married husband. The next minute, Kamsa's about to slit her throat with his sword. This is the demoniac nature. Whatever is good for my sense gratification at the moment, that's what I'll do. So he's got the reins of the chariot in one hand. He drops the reins. With the other hand, he draws his sword, and then he grabs the hair of Devaki, holding her by the hair, and he's about to cut her throat. Now imagine Vasudeva in those circumstances. This is a wedding day. Joyous celebration. Great moment, a great passage in someone's life. It's not that they were living together before. So it's a very emotionally impactful occasion. And then suddenly, as they say, at the drop of a hat, everything changes. And Kamsa's got her hair in one hand and a sword in the other hand and about to slit her throat. Just try to visualize and understand the surge of passionate ignorance that flows through him. He doesn't hesitate. He knows exactly what to do. Stand up for your own sense gratification. Eliminate, exterminate any impediments to your sense gratification. This is the Kamsa Principle. And we have to look in ourselves and see how much that Kamsa Principle might be there. The bottom line is my sense gratification, my money, my well-being, damn everyone else. And this is what the world's becoming more and more like today. Might makes right. If you are inconveniencing me, then we got to get rid of you. So Kamsa is quite a paradoxical person, because from the moment of that announcement from the sky that the 8th child of your sister is going to kill you, Kamsa is absorbed in meditating on Vishnu, because he knows, he's been told, as we'll find out later, he's been told that in your past life you were a demon, Kalanemi, killed by Vishnu. And that same Vishnu is coming back to get you in this lifetime. So Kamsa will do anything to survive. And he doesn't think that it's impossible for him to kill Vishnu, because he thinks Vishnu has a material body. I just have to arrange the right situation, and I'll kill Vishnu before Vishnu kills me. So in this way, Kamsa is so Krishna conscious in the most unfavorable way. In Nectar Devotion, and you'll soon, sometime this year, be able to see the famous verse in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu in the BBT rendition. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karma dhyanavritam anukulyena shilanam. Anukulyena krishnanum shilanam bhakta uchate. Favorable devotional service. Favorable consciousness of Krishna. But Kamsa is Krishna conscious totally unfavorably. He's seeing Krishna everywhere because he's so afraid. Vishnu is going to kill me. When he sleeps, when he talks, when he walks, he's seeing Krishna everywhere. But not as a bhakta, not as a devotee. His intensity of meditation on Krishna. I must kill Krishna, but Krishna can't be killed. I must kill Krishna, but Krishna can't be killed. He's like a computer that's locked up. I must kill Krishna, but Krishna can't be killed. It's like a loop, on and on, 24/7. So much so that he's seeing Krishna everywhere. but it's all unfavorable. But you may recall, in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Narada Muni points out something astonishing. He says, oh, if I could only love Krishna with the intensity that the demons hate him, how glorious that would be. He's commending the demons for the intensity of their hatred, emotion against Krishna. And Narada Muni is saying, if I could only love Krishna with that intensity. So this is what we can learn from Kamsa. The intensity, not the unfavorability. So Vasudeva has to think fast. You can just imagine you're driving home from your wedding day. Ladies can visualize that, such a glorious moment. You're riding in your rented limousine. Maybe Mercedes, maybe Tesla. Everyone's giving you a great send-off from the reception. You're going from the reception to your home. And then someone suddenly wants to kill the new bride. How can the husband handle this? But Vasudeva is a model of self-control and intelligence, as can be seen in the most difficult situations. He very calmly, although inside he's terrified, but externally he manifests great self-control. And he begins to explain to Kamsa, using Sama and Beta, first words of reassurance and flattering him. Kamsa, you are a great hero in your dynasty. And then words of chastisement, Beta. Kamsa, you know it's not very good that you kill your sister on her wedding day. You may suffer in your next life extraordinarily. No, neither of the two methods worked. The Sama didn't work, the Beta didn't work. Kamsa could not be pacified. Kamsa is so intent on solving the situation, nipping it in the bud immediately. He's a practical man, you might say, according to today's standards. There's a threat, wipe it out immediately. No concern for Dharma. Kamsa would do great running for political office these days. Ruthless. So he's demonstrating no shame, cruelty, selfishness, just gone to its ultimate limit. We have to look in our heart and see how those traces can be there. It's all about what I want. It's all about what's good for me. That's the standard. I remember walking around in London, and there's so many buses, as you know, in London, the double-decker buses. And many of them had a big sign on the side, because for adverts, you can rent a signage on the side of the buses and the back of the bus. So one was from the British Humane Society. And the message was very simple. There's probably no God, so stop worrying and enjoy your life. This is the Kamsa Principle. I can do whatever I like, unchecked. Why are you worried about reactions, karma? It's all nonsense. Are you like a little child who needs to believe in fairy tales? Just believe in yourself. Make your own meaning in the cold, indifferent universe. You make your own light in the darkness. That's the Kamsa Principle. He's making his own morality. Save my own skin no matter what atrocious thing I do. And Vasudeva has to deal with this situation. You just imagine what he's going through. The ladies can imagine, they can visualize Devaki. Kamsa's got her by the hair with a sword raised. Terrifying. Extreme terror. And the men can visualize Vasudeva and his coolness and calmness, although inwardly he's shocked. He's a Kshatriya, he's a Vedic martial warrior, so he has great powers of composure and self-control, especially in a crisis situation. So what would practically every man do in such a situation? What would the man do? He would just, stop it, he would just lose, he'd flip out. But Vasudeva didn't do that. He's very calm and precise to try to save the situation. He's a master of self-control. Kamsa, this is not the best thing for you to do. Killing your sister on her wedding day. You're a great personality. You're the head of the Bhoja dynasty. Sometimes I think you get confused by all these different dynasties mentioned in the 10th canto. Bhoja, Vrishni, Madhu, Andaka, Yadu. You see, there's one huge dynasty, the Yadu dynasty, and it has various sub-branches, like Vrishni, Bhoja, Andaka. So it depends on which prominent king in the Yadu line you're focusing on. All these personalities, that Madhu was a great king, therefore part of the Yadu dynasty is referred to as the Madhu dynasty. Vrishni was a great king, so part of the Yadu dynasty is called the Vrishni dynasty. There's sub-branches, just like you have a tree and then branches on the tree. So Kamsa managed to become so powerful that he was number one amongst all the different Yadu clans. You remember, how did the Yadu dynasty start? From the son of Yayati named Yadu. He's the oldest son, and his father got into a tight spot. His father Yayati was cursed due to some indiscretion, cursed to lose his youth. And the only way he could retain his youth was to trade his old age to one of his sons and take the youthfulness of one of his sons in return. You know that. What was Yadu's response when his father, Yayati, proposed to him? Look, I've got a problem. I'm cursed to be prematurely old, and I haven't finished my material desires. Can you help me out, son? Give me your youth, and I'll give you my old age. How many young men here would agree to such a proposal? It's the father. The father is asking. You're not very traditional, right? When it comes to that, giving up your youthfulness in exchange for your father's old age, how many men would do that? No one's raising their hand. The son, Yadu, had a great reason, a spiritual reason. Therefore, he's not to be criticized. He knew that in the future, the Supreme Personality Godhead would appear in his family line. So if he took his father's old age and became prematurely old, he knew his father would eventually give the youthfulness back. But that would take too much time. That would delay the appearance of Krishna. So Yadu wasn't selfish. He's thinking, I've got to do my family thing. I've got to do my grihastha thing so that Krishna will appear in my family line. If I take my father's old age, even for a short period of time, that delays the whole process. So Yadu said to his father, no. But he's glorified for that. His reasons were not to save his own skin. His reasons were not selfishness. His reasons were pure devotion. He explained to his father that, look, I'm a young man. I've got to go through various phases. I've got to go through my household life so I can become renounced in the future. If I take your old age, that delays my whole progression. I know you'll give me my youth back, but I want to get through the whole thing right now so that Krishna will appear in my dynasty. So that's why it's called the Yadu dynasty. Many branches, like a river that has many branches and sub-branches. So Kamsa managed to become the most powerful of the kings of the sub-branches of the Yadu dynasty. And he had the protection of Jarasandha. Who is Jarasandha? Massive hater of Krishna. Jarasandha was the father of Kamsa's wife. So Kamsa's feeling very safe that he can do whatever he likes because Jarasandha, my father-in-law, is behind me. And Kamsa made alliances with so many mystical demons who could take any form they liked. Those demons that you read that came to Vrindavan, they're mystic. They can take a form of a duck. They can take a form of a bull. They can take whatever, they can take the form of Putana. So Kamsa had his cronies who were very powerful. Kamsa was so powerful he could threaten Indra. He's no ordinary thug. He was the #1 terrorist of the time. He could even push Indra around. So now Kamsa's got all these alliances with other demons, especially the protection he has. He's got the protection of Jarasandha, who's his father-in-law. So you can imagine, thinking politically, Kamsa's thinking, everything is fine. Except I got this problem, the 8th child of my sister is going to kill me? No way. The 8th child of my sister is Vishnu? I'll kill Vishnu. But Vishnu can't be killed. What am I going to do? As I said, he was like a computer locked on that point. So here we have Vasudeva, so cool and sober, showing the extraordinary qualities of a devotee. Even in a crisis situation, so intense and critical, Vasudeva, his intelligence it manages to function. It's extraordinary. How can his brain work? Seeing his wife with her hair held in the hand of her demoniac brother, and the brother has got the sword in the other hand. How is Vasudeva going to stop this? His words of flattery didn't work. Kamsa, you're such a great person. Great persons don't do these things. His words of reprimand didn't work. Kamsa, you know you might get by a karma for killing your sister on her wedding day. That didn't work either. So he's thinking under the most immense pressure. He's able to come up with a plan. Kamsa, here's the deal. Any child born of Devaki, I'll turn over to you for your dispensation. I promise you, I give you my word of honor. And what's Kamsa's response? See, Kamsa's capable of some clear-headed calculation amidst his rage and his selfishness and his cruelty. He says, oh, Vasudeva, that sounds very appropriate because everyone knows your word cannot be violated. You're a man of your word 100%. So if you promise that whatever children come from your wife, you'll turn over to me, I won't kill your wife now. How could Vasudeva make such a promise? He had to do what was immediately necessary to save his wife. It's amazing that he came up with such a strategy in such a critical situation. Still, you're thinking, how could Vasudeva think to turn over every one of the children born from Devaki and him? Turn the children over, the newborns over to Kamsa for Kamsa to kill. Vasudeva knew that's what Kamsa is going to do. But Vasudeva is thinking, first let me save the life of my wife. Then we'll see what happens down the road. Vasudeva is thinking, who knows, there may be no children. Or, if the prophecy is true, that the 8th child is going to kill Kamsa, well, then that'll take care of that. So Vasudeva came up with this most brilliant solution in the most critical situation, how to pacify Kamsa. And Kamsa accepted that. Well, Vasudeva, everyone knows that you have a word of honor that cannot be shaken. If you promise like that, then I'll accept. I won't kill your sister right now. I'll put the sword down, drop her hair from my hand. So now you're hearing that the firstborn child of Vasudeva and Devaki, Vasudeva is bringing to Kamsa. You know what's going to happen. But Vasudeva is trying to save his wife. All right, I may have to sacrifice the child, but at least the wife will be saved. And not only that, you're thinking, well, why does Vasudeva bother having children? With that catastrophe hanging over his head, that Kamsa is going to kill each child. Because Vasudeva promised to bring every child born of Devaki and him. Vasudeva promised, I'll bring to Kamsa for him to take action. And that way, Devaki's life can be saved. So why would Vasudeva go on? Why not have no children? But Vasudeva understands destiny is at work. The 8th child of our union is going to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Let's get to number 8 very quickly. You have to think about that. Huh? This Vasudeva knows the whole plan. All right, if number 8 is going to kill Kamsa, let's get to number 8 quick. Number 1, number 2, number 3. So every year he procreated and had a child. This is a surrendered soul. He's doing his part in the whole plan. So you know Kamsa at first was very magnanimous, it would seem. When Vasudeva brought the first child to Kamsa, Kamsa said, oh, you're keeping your word of honor. Very nice. But actually, you may take your firstborn child back. I'm not afraid of the first child. It's number 8 that's the problem. How long did that last? Kamsa is showing you, you can't trust a person like me. Later, Kamsa decided, let's kill all of Devaki's children. You never know. I could have a problem with number 8. I could have a problem with number 1 or 2. Just kill them all. Such ruthlessness. Such cruelty. No shame. And then you get to the 8th child, the 8th pregnancy. And Devaki, by that time, is imprisoned. Devaki and Vasudeva were imprisoned by Kamsa. And Kamsa, he sees she's pregnant with the 8th child. And she's glowing, effulgent. And Kamsa's thinking, my sister has never before looked so beautiful. What kind of child is she carrying? This number 8 could be what the prophecy says. Extraordinary child that will kill me. Who knows, it could actually be Vishnu. How am I going to kill Vishnu? But Vishnu can't be killed. But I have to change destiny. Sometimes you can see devotees Their minimized karmic reactions are coming. And they understand this is much less karma than I should be getting. But Kamsa thought, I can just materially subvert all the bad karma due to me. I'll stop my death. So what to do? Devaki is now pregnant with child number 8. The first 6 were killed by Kamsa. Number 7 was transferred by Yogamaya from Mathura, the womb of Devaki, to Rohini in Braj. So now number 8, the spotlight is on number 8. And Kamsa sees, my sister is looking so inconceivably beautiful. Could that number 8 child be the one that will terminate me? I've got to do something. So he's calculating. Should I kill her now? That doesn't look very good, to kill your sister when she's pregnant. He's actually thinking like this. We got a major problem here. If I kill her while she's pregnant, my shame will be forever. So sometimes Kamsa is capable of some lucid thinking. People will just despise me that I killed a pregnant woman. She's pregnant, she's a woman. How can I do that? What I'll do is I'll just wait for the child to be born. Then I'll take action. So yes, he's shameless, he's cruel, but for a moment he decides to delay. It's too much to kill a pregnant woman. I've got nothing to fear from her. It's that child she's carrying. So why don't I wait until right when the child is born and then kill the child? That's the best thing to do. Very kind of him. So you know what happened when the 8th child appeared, who was Yogamaya and Mahamaya together, because Krishna had been born in Braj. And Vasudeva had taken an expansion of Krishna from Mathura to Braj. Of course, that's a very complicated situation. Was Krishna born from Devaki, or was he born from Yashoda? Was he born from both? To get to the bottom of that mystery, you can read Laghu Bhagavatamrita, exquisite BBT edition. So the 8th child, as Kamsa saw it, because Vasudeva brought the daughter from Braj, brought her to Mathura, so Kamsa's thinking, the 8th child's now born. He knows exactly what to do. He rushes into the prison cell to kill the 8th born child. He doesn't care. Son, daughter, it doesn't matter. Vishnu could be anyone, anywhere. He grabs the newborn babe by her ankles and tries to smash her head against the wall of the prison. This is how brutish she is. And all the time Kamsa's thinking, I've got to kill Vishnu, but Vishnu can't be killed. So he is showing extraordinary Krishna consciousness in the most unfavorable, hostile way. But he's so focused on Krishna that even though it's unfavorable, it is Krishna consciousness. And so when he's killed by Krishna eventually, he goes to Vaikuntha with Sarupya Mukti. He gets the same form as Narayan. Now you might say, well, wait a minute. Here we are struggling in bhakti. And what do we get? Whereas Kamsa hated Krishna, he's killed by Krishna, and he gets a place in Vaikuntha with the same form as Narayan. But the acharyas point out, it is much easier to love Krishna than to hate Krishna with the sufficient intensity to go back to Godhead. So take the easy route. It's much easier to love Krishna with intensity than to hate Krishna with the sufficient intensity to go back to Godhead. Sometimes Kamsa would, as I said, have his moments of clarity. When he saw the 8th child was a daughter and he tried to kill her. But as you know, she flew in the air out of his hands and showed herself to be Durga. She's actually a combination of Yogamaya and Mahamaya. But Kamsa can't deal with Yogamaya. He's a demon, so he gets Mahamaya, he gets Durga. Durga is an expansion of Yogamaya. So the Acharyas point out that both appeared simultaneously as the 8th child, as the daughter. Yogamaya and Mahamaya together. Mahamaya is a department of Yogamaya. Demons can't deal with Yogamaya. They don't have the qualification. So they get the bewildering external potency, Mahamaya. So Kamsa saw Durga. Oh, materialists love Durga. Anyone here used to do Durga Puja? Don't raise your hands. Kamsa, as a materialist, as a demon, saw Durga. Oh, Durga Devi. My sister has given birth to Durga Devi. How glorious is this? I never knew my sister was so extraordinary that Durga Devi would appear from her. So that changed, that appearance of Durga changed Kamsa momentarily. He offered his apologies to his sister. I'm sorry I killed 6 of your children. You know, destiny is like that. It reminds me of during the time of the Nazis in Germany, one of the Nazi leaders who caused so much genocide and Holocaust, he had commented during his evil tenure, during the time of when he was in power. He said, actually, I'm not killing anyone, because Bhagavad Gita says I'm not the doer. He would carry a copy of Bhagavad Gita with him always and use it to defend himself. Krishna says, you're not the slayer, you're not the slain. Of course, this is a total misunderstanding of Bhagavad Gita. So Kamsa began to speak like that to Devaki and Vasudeva after he saw Durga Devi appear as the 8th child. You know, destiny works in this way. I'm not to blame. And Vasudeva and Devaki are so magnanimous, they actually forgave him. What mother can do that? Someone has killed 6 of your children, tried to kill number 8, and you're going to forgive him? How many ladies could do that? You couldn't do it for the death of 1 child, what to speak of 6? But Vasudeva and Devaki accepted the apology of Kamsa. Yes, destiny has its way. No one can stop destiny. You were just an agent of destiny. They were being truly magnanimous. At the same time, remember, they're Kshatriyas, so they're being clever also. Yeah, we'll forgive you because number 8 has been born somewhere else and we'll kill you. Sure, Kamsa, destiny, right. We know your destiny. Sure, we'll forgive you. Oh, but you're sorry? Okay. You'll be dead soon. So it's hard for you to understand. How could they be sincere and at the same time clever? These are the qualities of a devotee. A devotee is no fool. Kamsa thought devotees are simple and foolish. Just like when he sent Akrura to Vrindavan to bring back Krishna and Balaram to Mathura for the wrestling match. He called in Akrura. took Akrura's hand and said, "Oh, Akrura, I have no better friend than you in the Yadu dynasty. I'm taking shelter of you, just like the demigods take shelter of Indra. I've got a task for you." So Kamsa was thinking, I'll recruit Akrura because everyone knows he's so dignified and trustworthy. I'll recruit him to go to Vrindavan and bring back Krishna and Balaram. I know Akrura is the right person to do the job because of his reputation. And he's a Vaishnav. These Vaishnavas have very simple minds. You have to be simple-minded to believe in Vishnu and worship Vishnu. So Kamsa thought, I'll get Akrura to do my bidding. Well, how? Here I have a brand new Mercedes chariot. And I'll present that to Akrura. You can be the first one to ride on this brand new Mercedes chariot. Isn't your mind blown? Surely you'll want to do my bidding. You can drive this brand new Mercedes chariot and go to Vrindavan, bring back Krishna and Balaram. This is a brand new chariot, luxury chariot. Maybe not even Mercedes, maybe Bentley, Rolls Royce. So Kamsa's thinking, the mind of this simple Vaishnav will be overpowered by the chance to be the first to drive this brand new Rolls-Royce chariot. And that will make Akrura agree, because Vaishnavas are like that. They're like simple. You've got to be simple and foolish to spend your life worshiping Vishnu when you could be enjoying your senses. When you could be killing, pillaging, assaulting, all to get what you want. And why should you worry about the next life? Who cares? But Akrura is one of those simple Vaishnavas, praying, offering words of glorification to Krishna. What is all this nonsense? So he thought, when Akrura sees this luxurious chariot, that will influence him to do what I want. No one has ever ridden on this Rolls-Royce chariot before. Akrura, you can be the first one. Just take it to bring back Krishna and Balaram from Braj to Mathura. And what is Akrura thinking? He shows you how a demoniac person and a devotional person can look at the same situation and think completely differently. So we already explained Kamsa's machinations, his maneuvering, thinking he could bend Akrura's mind with a brand new chariot. And what's Akrura thinking? He's looking at that brand new luxurious chariot and thinking, I'm so glad that you're giving me a brand new chariot for Krishna and Balaram to sit on, because I would never want to bring them a chariot to ride on that you, demon, have sat upon. So they're looking at the situation, same situation, they're looking completely differently, different mentality. So again, we want to pull from our hearts any Kamsa propensities of manipulating situations for our own sense gratification. Yes, what Kamsa was doing was horrible. It's a long story how Krishna comes to Mathura and begins his campaign of civil disobedience against Kamsa. Krishna and Balaram, they're walking in Mathura like what they call in Australia and New Zealand, youth offenders. In the US they say juvenile delinquent. But in Australia it's what? Young offender or youth offender? Which one? Huh? Young offender. So they were just, Krishna and Balaram, they're 11 years old. They're just entering Mathura, Kamsa's capital city, just doing whatever they like. Capturing the vision of all the young ladies. Very important. Plundering as they like, breaking the sacrificial bow, which was child's play for Krishna. Anyway, that's a whole nother class, Mathura Leela. But now we're focusing on Kamsa and Vasudeva. How saintly and self-controlled is Vasudeva. So much so that Kamsa would depend on it. Okay, you promised to bring me all the children. You're Vasudeva, famous for your word of honor. I can accept that. I can rely on that. And then the firstborn child is brought by Vasudeva to Kamsa for Kamsa's disposal. And Kamsa has a moment of clarity, a moment of self-control. It's not the first child that I have a problem with. You may take the first child back. It's number 8 that we have to do something about. But Vasudeva knows, you can't trust this guy. And sure enough, sooner or later, Kamsa kills all the children. Any child could be a problem. So as soon as a child was born, Kamsa would kill the child. No shame, completely selfish, completely cruel. So you can see these qualities in Kali Yuga, how they distort individuals, even individuals in posts of political leadership. Such selfishness. One disciple of Prabhupada, Yadubar Prabhu, I think he's coming here in some days. You can ask him. Prabhupada was in Calcutta, and someone gave him a very famous news magazine of the day called Time Magazine, back before the internet, when everyone would get their news by newspapers and magazines. So Time Magazine was a weekly international news magazine. Huge circulation. Number 1. So someone gave it to Srila Prabhupada, and he started leafing through it. The latest world news and what the leaders of the world were doing. He announced to the few devotees there, if you only knew how bad your leaders actually are. How the Kamsa Principle operates in them to varying degrees. Of course, who can be as ferocious as Kamsa? He's the epitome, the essence of cruelty. But you can see traces of that in leaders who grab the post by hook or crook for their own selfish purposes. So when you understand Kamsa, you can see everything in perspective. The shamelessness, the cruelty, the selfishness. Do what you gotta do to get what you want. Annihilate any impediments in your path for getting what you want. So we can pray to Krishna that we remove any traces of such contamination from our heart. Let's not blame it all on Kamsa. We know we're residents of Kali Yuga. We can be very selfish, we can be very shameless. No integrity. What's Kali Yuga honor? I promised, but that was yesterday. Right? Yes, I took my initiation vows, but that was 2 years ago. This is Kali Yuga honor. Whereas Vasudeva is showing you, I promised Kamsa to bring every child to him as soon as a child's born. I'll do it. To uphold my word of honor, but mostly for saving my wife. Because if I break my word of honor, Kamsa will kill my wife. So I've got to do, what do you call it? I got to minimize the damage. What do they call it? Triage? How to, in a situation where there's bad results on both sides, how to take the path of that's least bad amongst all the badness. That's what Vasudeva is doing. So we can learn from him how to be self-controlled, how to be cool-headed in the most critical situations. That's a part of bhakti. Bhakti is not sentimental. It's based on the highest intelligence. cool-headed intelligence, all for the pleasure of Krishna. So any questions? Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you last class. Is it safe to say that Kamsa was a demon from birth, or was it because of the situation that unfolded that his demonic nature came out?
He was a demon from previous birth. He was an extraordinarily demoniac person. As I said, even Indra was afraid of him. But he also had bad association. Sometimes he'd want to lighten up. After he begged forgiveness from Vasudeva and Devaki, because Kamsa saw the 8th child was Durga. The materialists loved Durga. She'll give material opulence, more. After he presented himself to Vasudeva and Devaki that, I didn't mean to do what I did, killing 6 of your children. Things happen, it's all karma, it's all destiny. And as we said, Vasudeva and Devaki actually forgave him, knowing that the 8th child had been born somewhere else and Kamsa was going to be finished. So yeah, we'll forgive you. So Kamsa had cooled down at that point. But then he started mixing with his demoniac ministers, his associates, who got on his case. Hey, why are you lightening up? We've got to take action. We've got to kill the Brahmanas, kill the cows, kill the Vaishnavas. They're all limbs of Vishnu. So influenced by such associates, Kamsa went on a rampage. So yes, he's a demon from previous birth, but he's also showing the effects of bad association. Why did he have such association? Because he wanted to associate with such persons. Birds of a feather flock together. Yes. Thank you for being in class. I beat you to it.
Thank you, Maharaj. Maharaj,
You didn't say it.
thank you for the nice class. Maharaj, you had mentioned about the Kamsa Principle, that if someone is an obstacle in my sense gratification, then wipe them out. And how
You're not going to be like that, are you?
and we should keep checking in ourselves whether we have that in ourselves. Maharaj, so my question is, how as devotees do we balance the focus to spiritual advancement with serving devotees?
Spiritual advancement with what?
Prioritizing our spiritual advancement with serving devotees. Because sometimes we tend to focus more on our spiritual advancement and we want to do more rounds, more sadhana. So is that considered as being selfish in Krishna consciousness?
First, you have to be Krishna conscious to give Krishna consciousness. But at the same time, serving devotees, associating with devotees is part of Krishna consciousness. So you need help to devise the proper package. And that's why we need guidance. As I always point out, guidance is the wealth of the devotee, not property investments. All right, have your property investments, but also have the guidance, okay? You need a mentor who can help you to shape the proper blend of your bhakti lifestyle. Because sometimes life can be very perplexing. You want that clear, lucid intelligence that Vasudeva is showing. How to handle a critical situation. Should I do this? Should I do that? Just like Mother Yashoda. She's feeding Krishna on her lap, but then the milk on the stove is boiling over. She puts Krishna down and races to the stove to save the milk. Just think of the intelligence behind that, which was completely spontaneous. Everything in her house is meant for Krishna's pleasure. So it seems like she's neglecting Krishna. She put him down. Why did she put Krishna down? Because she knew she couldn't run as fast to the stove if she was still holding him. So she put him down to save the milk, the milk was all for Krishna's pleasure. It was meant to be churned into yogurt for Krishna's pleasure, butter for Krishna. So she made a split-second decision. But Krishna seized the opportunity. You put me down! He wanted to demonstrate how he's conquered by her love. So he got angry. He bit his lip. You ever bit your lip in anger? And so, you know, the rest is Damodar Leela. But the point is, Mother Yashoda has to think, what's the best way to serve Krishna in these circumstances? The milk is boiling over, but I'm feeding Krishna. But everything in my house is meant for Krishna's pleasure. She didn't have to consult a mentor. Spontaneously, with her Vatsalya Prem, she knew what to do. Yes.
You mentioned about Vasudev's cool-headedness. So when we are in the difficult or extreme situations, it brings out the worst of us. So how do we cultivate this cool-headedness? Because we don't have much time to think about it when we are in that situation.
We always have to think how to best serve Krishna. Vasudeva could be very crafty also, very clever. He knew the 8th child is somewhere else, safe. So therefore, yo, Kamsa, how are you? He knows, but he's not saying it. He knows where the 8th child is, in Braj, but he's not saying it. Yes, Durga Devi, when appeared to be the daughter of Devaki, Durga Devi announced, Kamsa, the 8th child is somewhere else. But Kamsa didn't know where. And Vasudeva knew. He had just come back from Braj. But Vasudeva didn't say anything. So yes, he's completely honest, but he's also clever. Showing Vaishnavas are not fools. So Prabhupada points out in the purport that sometimes a Vaishnava who's totally straightforward has to be a little duplicitous for the sake of protecting Krishna's pleasure, Krishna's service. I remember I was going from Melbourne to Perth, flying, and devotees in Melbourne had given me Maha sweets from Radha Ballabha to take to the devotees in Perth. And so I landed at the airport in Perth, and I was at the baggage ramp, and I gave the bag of sweets to one devotee, Shivananda is his name, from Sri Lanka. I gave him the bag of sweets, and 1 minute after I gave it to him, an agricultural inspector lady came up, because they had, maybe they still have it, strict rules that you can't even bring things from another part of Australia. Is it still like that in Perth?
Yes.
Yes. So this old lady, looking very nasty, suddenly emerged, and she said to the devotee holding the bag of sweets, "Are those from the Melbourne flight or those from here?" And I saw the devotee. He made a split-second decision. They're from here. Protecting the Maha. But I saw he had to make a quick calculation. He hesitated at first. Should I tell a lie? Best, the principle is protect Mahaprasad. So the lady accepted his answer and went away. And all the devotees could have the Maha. Anything else? All right. Yes. Last one.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you very much for a wonderful class. Why did Kamsa arrested his own father?
Because his own father was an impediment to what he wanted. Kamsa said that. My father has always sided with my enemies. The rest of the Yadu dynasty. Kamsa was terrorizing his own Yadu dynasty. The Yadus, many of them had to flee, go to neighboring villages in other territories and dress as cowherd persons. Other Yadus decided, we'll stick it out with Kamsa so we have a ringside seat for when Krishna kills him. So we'll pretend, yes, Kamsa, what is your desire? We want to be around him to see when he's dead.
I am also told that he is not his father.
Well, that's in Brihad Bhagavatamrita. You can drill down deeper and deeper and deeper. Kamsa was birthed by a demon who disguised himself as Ugrasena and impregnated Ugrasena's wife. All right, now you're happy? All right, Hare Krishna.